Welcome to Jman and Magic Gate. I'm Jman, and Magic Gate is my ministry. That's right. In the last episode that I just filmed earlier tonight, that should come out before this one, I was just mentioning how video games and how playing video games in this medium can be a ministry. Because I'm trying to do the best that I can do in the best way possible. Um, and all those words are so abstract to me that I know it almost doesn't sound like it means anything, which scares me because yes, I chose the car I wanted to use. By the way, for the last time we did this, I didn't use the Corvette on this course because I wanted to try some other cars, and now I'm trying the Corvette on this particular course. As you know, I've been trying different cars on these courses so that by using different cars I can have a different understanding of how they work and which car races best. And I don't remember which one raced the best so far, but I do like the Corvette anyway as a personal preference of my own. Okay, I've got all this set the way that I like it. You're set to the highest you can be set. You're set to the lowest you can be set. And you're set to the lowest, plus I got the soft tires. Okay. What is this? Not applicable. Okay. So then how does that relate to race car driving? And that is a very good question. And my answer to that very good question is Paul called life a race. Paul said to run the race you're running a race. Life is like a race. He compared life to a race. I completely forgot exactly what it was that Paul said, but he compared life to a race and to live life for a race, but not for the crown, not for the win, but for God to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Does that mean that I shouldn't try to win? Well, if I'm racing for God, then the goal would be to win, yes. Not hitting another car, because that's not good. Now, if I did it on accident, that's one thing. A sin is missing the mark. That's what it is to sin. So if I accidentally bump one of these cars, I've sinned because I missed the mark. I'm not perfect, so I don't anticipate a perfect run-through on 2 laps. Does that mean, though, that God always expects perfection? No. God knows I'm not perfect, so God's not expecting me to try to be perfect. Oh man, this is a difficult race, which is good. I like difficulty. In fact, we might have to race this one again to try to get gold. But that's the idea then, is that all of my trophies are meaningless. They don't mean anything. And this game actually proves that, because I don't get to hold the trophy in my hand. I don't get the money that I win in the race. It's all electronic. It all kind of just sits there, and I personally don't do anything with it. It doesn't go into my bank account. I don't have the trophies on a wall behind me somewhere. If I did, you'd see them. Especially if I was playing this game, I'd be like, oh, time to put up those trophies that I've won. It means nothing in the grand scheme of what life is. The trophies that I earn in this game are completely meaningless, which is good to remember, because it helps me to remember that this life's not about me. Doesn't matter what position I get. Okay, this car's getting to 135. That's important, because if I use a different car, I gotta make sure I'm getting past 135. This is straightaway. I should be going nice and fast, getting into 5th gear and everything, but I'm not doing that. Other cars are passing me. And yeah, this Corvette really should have an advantage over some of these cars. So we're definitely going to have to do this race again, which saddens me because I was hoping that we could have a completed race. But, you know what? Like I just said, it doesn't matter. And I've been trying to figure out, like I said in the last one, I've been trying really hard to figure out, well, so how do I apply video games to God? And the other game I played tonight, and I've got on my channel, is Jurassic World Evolution. And I was trying to express how that works in the realm of Christianity. How does that make sense for somebody to say, I'm a Christian, and I play this game that calls itself Evolution, and I don't believe in evolution? There are Christians who do believe in evolution, so don't think that that all Christians don't believe in evolution. But stereotypically, I would say that it's pretty much common to find Christians who would say that evolution isn't real, or disagree with it. But I know there are Christians who do agree with evolution, who do believe in it, and who would disagree with me. And I'm sure there are people out here right now who don't believe me and don't agree with me, and they think that my channel is trash now. And you know what? That's okay. You don't have to like my channel. You don't have to like me. Because you're right. You've got the right to believe and think and agree with or disagree with whatever you want to. What I'm thinking though is that as a Christian, how does this game, Gran Turismo, relate to me? And that is more about the race that I run as in life, and that is not so much about winning as it is about running the race and running it to the best of my ability, which is why 5th is the best that I've gotten on this race so far. So trying to continue to get 5th on this race, that's the word I want to use. Can I change my car? I wonder. No, I can't do that there. Running this race to the best of my ability is getting 5th place the first time that I try it again. Now let's see, I think I tried this race with you. Your horsepower is too low, but you two have the same horsepower, which is the max horsepower I can use, I think. So you're a little bit lighter. Okay, so we'll go with that. This car is a little bit lighter than the Corvette. And we'll try that to see if we can race better. But it's also, when I think about life, I think about life as living it for something that's not for myself. So yes, I'm playing video games, and yes, I'm talking about being a Christian, but how is that how I'm living my life? And I think that part of that is living it in a way where, let me just check all my stuff here. Okay, yes, okay. Living it in a way where it's not about me, which I already said, I know, but in a way where everybody can see that I'm not living for myself. I'm living for something else, something bigger. Does that mean that I'm always going to do that? No. It took me a while to realize that this is my ministry. And it definitely feels strange to me to call this my ministry. And oh yeah, this car is going a lot faster than the Corvette did. This car got to 165, the Corvette got to 135. This car gets into 5th gear. The Corvette only got into 4th gear. This is the better car. And then I talked about something earlier in this where I was talking about my trophies. And there's a worship song, a hymn, if you will, that says, "My trophies at last I'll lay down." Paul talks about everything in his life that isn't Christ being rubbish, being trash, being meaningless. And I think that is, if I'm looking at it like that, if this isn't related to Christ, then it's meaningless. It's worthless. Does that mean that I shouldn't play video games? No. Video games have some health benefits that might surprise some people out there. They help with timing. They help with, like hand-eye coordination. They actually have been found to help soldiers who have come back from war with PTSD, help them to overcome or at least work on their PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Does that mean then that all video games are good? No. That does not mean that all video games are good. There are video games out there that are bad. You gotta look at your ratings, you gotta decide for yourself, because, you know, you've heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out, and you've also, like, there's also a phrase that you are what you eat, or more modern, you are what you consume. If you're consuming things on Facebook that are hurting you, then you shouldn't be consuming those things. Whoa, too close. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, that car doesn't like me now. Oh, that was a glitch. But it's what you consume does decide who you are. And it may not be something you realize right away, but eventually you're going to see that there is definitely growth into a direction that is different from who you were based on what you're consuming. Like if you're consuming Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption 2 or any kind of Red Dead Redemption, you're going to notice those qualities of those characters sticking out. But if you're consuming a positive game, like this racing game has positive elements to it because there's no language in this game, nobody's talking in this game. There's music, but I turned the music off. This game, Gran Turismo, is this game, by the way. Gran Turismo does mention that there is alcohol and tobacco consumption, but I have yet to see that in my playthrough. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means that I haven't gotten to that part. Whereas, I can say that that consumption is bad for the body and definitely do not want to be drinking and driving. Alcohol, of course. But that's a choice that I get to make about what I want to do with myself. Now, I do not want to drink and drive. I do not want to deal with the consequences of that. I know that my actions have consequences, and I'd rather not deal with those consequences for not only for that reason, but for other reasons too. There's other things about the consequences that I disagree with, that I don't want to have to go through, is a better way of putting it. But in this game, if it's in this game, I will deal with it when it comes and talk about how I feel about it then. But what I'm trying to do here is just say that, look, people can play video games and they don't have to swear. People can play video games and they don't have to be violent games. There we go. We won. We finally won. I found the right car. This is a good car. I almost like this car. I don't think I'll be able to use this Mazda for too many more races, but that's a great car. I approve of that car. That feels great. I am happy to be successful there. Alright, let's see. What else do we need to win? So, yeah, it's about what you consume and how you consume it. And I'm not going to tell people they can't consume things because that's not my business. It's not my, that just becomes judgmental if I'm telling you, you know, don't play Grand Theft Auto, don't play Red Dead Redemption 2, because I got to look at the plank in my own eye and say, well, wait, I've played Red Dead Redemption 2. And the reason that I say that I've played it and I'm okay with playing it is because I don't have too much of an issue, I'm going to say it that way, with swearing. I have, and sometimes still do when I get angry, but I don't use words that I feel like I shouldn't use. And I try not to, even when I'm angry, not use words that I feel like I shouldn't use. And that's kind of what I consider swear words, or words I shouldn't use. I know somebody who had said that a swear word doesn't necessarily need to be a 4-letter word. A swear word could be any word used out of context. Such as, did you see that kite that I just drove by? Obviously, this truck that I just drove by is not a kite, but ironically enough, it's a 4-letter word. Not intentional. Fine. Let's see, did you see that snake I just drove by? I'm talking about the truck. The truck's not a snake, but that snake became a profane word because I used it out of context. Whether I'm trying to be cool and talk about a truck like it's a snake or not. Now, I don't know why I would compare a truck with a kite or a snake, but, you know, crazier things have happened, I guess. But that would make then the words kite and snake out of context, which would make them swear words. Which would mean that if I'm talking about places, and I start talking about a hot place that you go after you die, or if you're Dante, a cold place that you go after you die, then I could tell you that I'm talking about hell, and not make hell an out-of-context word, because I was putting context to the word by saying that it is a destination that I wouldn't want anybody to go to. But it is a 4-letter word, and it isn't really a word that, you know, I would like to throw around for no reason. So, I mean, you can see how, if done, or depending on how the words are used, is really the best way of putting it. It's about how the words are used. Ouch, not necessarily about what is being said. It's about context. I don't know how I got to that rabbit hole. I was just trying to talk about what it meant to be, for me to be a clean gamer, and even while I'm playing the games. And so it's why I choose to speak the way that I speak when I'm playing games, and who I try to be. And I don't want I want who I try to be to shine through everything that I'm doing. And I want God to be just as important as everything else that I'm doing, because God gave me this talent to be able to play games, to have good vision so that I can see what's going on screen, to be able to have good control of my fingers so that I know how to play the game without completely losing my mind. Oh, this is only one lap? Okay. Wow, it's really rocky out here. I thought I was at the end there too, so I'm glad I didn't just give up. But it's a talent that I can say it's a talent that God gave me, and I want to use my talent to serve God. So that's another reason that I'm doing this, is to find a way to serve God, which completely blows my mind, actually, because when I think about, as I've been growing up and thinking about, well, what are my talents and how can God use me and stuff like that, I gotta admit, I never thought that playing video games would be a key to what my talents are and how God would want to use them. But the more I talk about things like this, the better I feel. It's not just a, yeah, okay, so my talents are this. No, like, you can see that smile creeping in and maybe you couldn't see it, but I could feel it on my face. And if I can feel a smile on my face, it's probably actually there. Hey, we just achieved an achievement, or we did something. I don't know. But if there is a smile on my face, then that actually means that I'm smiling. Or if I feel like I'm smiling, then it probably means I'm smiling. And I'm gonna risk it. Let's do this last race here. Just because if we can win this race, well, just by finishing this race, we should be able to get another free car. I like that. Free stuff. Even though it means nothing, because it's just a worthless prize that these cars aren't in my garage, and that's a good thing because I live in a tiny little apartment with one parking space that I actually allow my wife to use. I park on the street. But excuse me. But being able to use this ministry, and I'm going to call it a ministry. I think that it's a fair designation for this, but being able to use this. Oh, I'm not on dirt anymore. I think I still have dirt tires too. This may not go so well. That's okay. I didn't check the tires. But using this as a ministry gives me the chance to still talk about God and do something that I have always enjoyed. I have enjoyed playing video games. I find playing video games fun. I think about them way too much. And if I could think about God as much as I think about video games, that would be even better. But talking about God while playing video games, that's just an insane concept to me, because I never really saw the two. Not that they're polar opposites. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I never thought so much before recently about how God could use this to tell the world, because that's what my job as a Christian is. I was told that Christ said in Matthew 28 to make disciples. I don't have the exact verse, but I'll find it eventually. Maybe I'll have it in the description. But it was make disciples. Go through all nations and make disciples. And I'm here sitting on my chair in my house, and I can say that God has given me this ability. That because of what God has allowed in my life, He's given me the chance to sit in a chair in my own house and find a way to worship Him in a way that I'm comfortable with, but still to share the Word, share His Word with the world. Because this is a time in history where the internet exists. If I was born earlier, the internet would not exist. And I had the chance to use the internet to worship God. It also exists where I live in a country that is completely free. The freedom to say what I want to say, to worship the God that I want to worship. And with these freedoms, I'm able to make the choice to say, I worship God, and this is how I do that. My way of worshiping God is by playing video games and posting them to YouTube so that all the world can see that I believe that God exists. Does that mean that everybody watching this has to believe that God exists? Well, no. But I would hope that because I believe in God, it makes you question whether or not you think God exists, and gives you the chance to consider a relationship with God, because I do have a relationship with God. I pray to God. I did before I started filming tonight. I said, okay, Lord, tell me what to say. And God has not disappointed at all. I stumbled a little bit tonight. I stumbled a little bit through Jurassic World Evolution. I'm stumbling a little bit through Gran Turismo on what exactly to say, but all in all, I'm not struggling with this. This is freeing, actually. I know I use that word a little bit too much right now, but there's a freedom to just being able to say, I believe in who God is and what God does, and I believe that God put me where He is I believe God put me in this position for a reason, where I am for a reason. I can't explain it. I'll never be able to explain it because I'm not God. But I know that God used His perfect timing, and I know that what I already know of God because I studied God in college. I did study a little bit of art. I said in the last video that I didn't, in the last video I filmed tonight, which should be out the day before this one, that I didn't study art in college, but I did study a form of art. I studied theology and the Bible. And theology is just a fancy word that means the study of God. But basically means I studied who God is. And knowing who God is tells me that everything about this, Gran Turismo, me playing it, me talking to you, is all ordained by God. That it's all out of my control. I had nothing to do with it, except that God said, I want you to study theology in college. And God said, and I don't want you to stop playing video games. And I said, video games, you got it. I can keep playing video games. And God said, and you're going to? Oh, right, yeah, and I'll get that theology degree too. Yeah, sure, yeah, of course. Whatever you say, yeah. Right, of course, theology degree. The what, why, who? Alright, so that means that I'm going to be preaching in a church, right? No. I got that degree, I graduated with that degree in 2010. It's been almost 10 years since I've gotten that degree. And I found ways of using it, but not in the way that I thought that I would. I have preached at a church, but again, it wasn't exactly what I expected preaching would be, or what I had anticipated was a consistent preaching job. I've actually preached at 2 different churches. But it wasn't what I thought that God was calling me to. And then I got a job that I have right now that I'm doing along with this, where I do maintenance at a church and school. And I was like, okay, maybe that is the ministry God was calling me to. But I don't know that that was the ministry that God was calling me to. It is ministry, not going to deny that, but I think there's more to this ministry that God is calling me to than just cleaning up after kids and people on Sundays, resetting rooms for Sunday classes in between services, or setting them back up for school on the weekdays. I think there's more to what God meant when He said, I want you to be in ministry. And I kind of got to think that I'm on the right path for that right now. I won. Yay, I won. I wasn't even focused on that. I was so focused on what I was saying, and I had other things on my mind, like I was about to run out of time, which hopefully I don't know if I'll edit that out, but I had some other stuff on my mind. But I see this as that ministry, and I can't explain it, except that these 5 trophies that you see down here, they mean nothing. All the cars that I have in this garage that we'll look at, well, we won't look at it in a second, but I'm about to get another car. This daily workout that I'm completing right now, it means nothing. I don't get this car. It doesn't go into my driveway. It sits on my PlayStation to do nothing with. So we've got this Nissan GTR Nismo GT3 into 4 Motorsport 2013. Adding it to my garage, it's a G3 car, but it doesn't mean anything as far as life is concerned. It doesn't mean anything. This mileage points that we earned, this view your achievements and collect bonuses, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, it's something small that eventually I will lay at the foot of the cross and say, this was all for your glory. This was all to serve you. And I hope that that's exactly what this does, that it serves the living God. That would be the whole idea right now. Because when we look at the garage, I wasn't going to, but I think I will now. And we see these 29 cars, they're meaningless. They don't mean anything. They have no value. This $549,210 that's in the game account, bank account, again, it means absolutely nothing. I'm grateful to be able to do this. I'm grateful to be able to talk to you. I'm even grateful to be able to express all this today, because it's been brewing in my head for a long time. I just haven't been able to find the words properly to be able to really speak them. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. May God bless you. And remember, God loves you.